Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live. Hope you are well this Monday morning. A few admin things I'd like to share with you guys before we get started. I will take your questions after a brief little introduction. But next week, I'm going to start doing these at 9:30 instead of 9 a.m. Our workouts are getting a little longer as we move into the summer. Some of our runs are getting longer and we swim afterwards. And I hate leaving early from the swim, so I'm try starting at 9:30 for the rest of the summer, and probably continue on it on that time frame unless I need to change it. But just for now, it'll be 9:30 starting next week. So tomorrow I'll be back with a CSS critique, and we will do 9 a.m. start. Um, so if you plan for 9 a.m., we're at 9 a.m. But next week we're going to be 9:30. Uh, so the title of this one is "People Getting Overwhelmed with Fitness," and it's real easy to understand why probably only 15-20% actually exercise regularly, at least here in the United States. People may do something physical in their job or their life, but actually committing to a style of fitness activity is somewhat lacking, but is also overwhelming um, to many people who's trying to get started. Whether you're a beginner, never worked out before, or you are an older person who just hasn't done anything in decades, that is really can be overwhelming because let's think about all their choices that they have. First of all, there's so much information out there now that that's overwhelming in itself. But let's just think about fitness altogether. You got strength, you got power, you got muscle stamina. These are just the elements of fitness that you can focus on. There's other things you can do like bodybuilding and martial arts, flexibility, mobility, agility, speed, um, movements that require technique training. Everything from dancing to lifting to swimming to throwing. You know, jumping, all of those things require some form of technique to master as well when you're going through that style of training program. We also have balance and reaction time, throwing, whether it's ball sports or whatever, martial arts, that's another reaction time one. So there's so many different fields that you could go down any one, and picking one is rather difficult. I think most people would probably join a gym and do a circuit with machines. That's a great place to start. Some people say, I'm not going to join a gym till I'm in better shape. That's understandable as well. So I'm just going to walk and do calisthenics. That's a great place to start. And start adding dumbbells and things. And see, this is a journey. And one thing I recommend doing is when you see this huge list, which I put in the description, you see this huge list of things you can do, maybe consider this. Because where most people fail is after 3 weeks, they no longer are on their program anymore. That's why New Year's resolutions is no longer a topic after February, because people are no longer doing their fitness resolution typically. Um, so, my recommendation is this, and consider this, and it's something I do. I just do it in seasons versus what I'm about to suggest. So, consider doing walking for a month and then consider mixing in some stretching and maybe some calisthenics, and then consider maybe adding dumbbells for the next month, and then consider maybe focusing on your strength the next month, or maybe a different form of cardio the next month. Cardiovascular fitness, that's another one I didn't even mention, but that goes so many different options, from walking to running to biking to swimming. Multiple machines that you could also do, rucking, anaerobic, aerobic, right? So it can just go way overboard with giving you way too many options. So cut your options and just pick one, right? And do that for a month. So maybe focus on your cardiovascular fitness and walk for a month. If you're pretty lean and you can maybe throw in some jogging, great. If you can't, hop on a bike. And if it hurts to walk, do more non-impact cardio. And then the next month add something else or completely shift something else. Something I would recommend though is I wouldn't recommend starting with like speed and agility, right? Because if you're a beginner, those two components of fitness or elements of fitness, however you want to define them, are really meant towards um, people who have a good foundation of fitness already, kind of like power as well. Like you have to build your strength before you add power to it, which is another component of speed to your movements, whether that's calisthenics or lifting or running or whatever. So I think if you're trying to begin, walking, balance, calisthenics is a great place to start. If walking hurts, do a non-impact cardio. Get in a pool, swim, aqua jog, um, get on a bike or elliptical or something like that. All of those are really great places to start, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming. And it is overwhelming when you look at the big picture of what everybody's doing. Um, you do you. Pick something, and then every month make a change. I think that will add some variety to it so it doesn't get stale. And there's so many different things you do. You could pick something every month for 2 years and build a really solid foundation and just get good at everything. Next thing you know, you're starting down the path of seasonal tactical fitness periodization, where we do the same thing very similarly with our spring calisthenics and cardio. And the summer, we really start peaking up on our running and our swimming and our cardio activities. And that is why I need to shift my time to start these things on Monday and Tuesday, because our runs are just getting longer. I think today we hit about 6.5 and then swam another mile. Um, did some intervals, mixed in some hills. It was a good day. So there you go. Now I'm all cleaned up, ready to talk. So I'll take some questions. You guys got any questions about starting or questions about Spec Ops world of fitness? Anything in between? Let me know. So we got some of our regulars here. Mikkel and Alex, Shay. Hello to you guys. Thank you for saving my life with the Navy SEAL fitness book. I was looking for a way to get started with fitness and found something to look up to. Ah, thank you. That's cool. That's a good book. That's pretty advanced, but there are some beginner intermediate levels cycles in there that you can get started on. Very similar to my calisthenics and cardio workout program, where I specifically put in there a beginner program for people. And it's nothing more than walking or biking and stretching with a moderate level of calisthenics and a little bit of dumbbells. It's a good place to have a routine to get started. You can just repeat that as much as you want, and or you could ramp it up on the next month and go with the intermediate level if you're at that ability to do so. So yeah, that workout's very similar. They're all kind of calisthenics based exercises with a few dumbbells thrown in there. That one that you're talking about, my first program I created, is just really hardcore. A lot of running, a lot of swimming, a lot of reps of calisthenics. Um, but it works really well. Let's see, bit of a strange question. What's the easiest way for a foreigner to join the U.S. military, any branch? There's no easy way to it. There's only one way to do it. You have to have a green card on um, in order to join the military. Now, if you want to go special ops, you have to be a citizen. We actually have a young kid who's training with us right now who is from Africa. Solid kid, is parents are American. He's about to become American. Um, we're looking forward to that ceremony when he makes that transition. And then he's planning on joining special ops program. So it can happen, but you need a green card at a minimum to join the military. And then you can still have your citizen paperwork in there. Um, to become a citizen, and then once you're a citizen you can go into the special ops programs or intel or officer programs as well. How'd summer seminar go? Went well. Summer seminar is a group of high school kids who are visiting the Naval Academy for a week, and every week for the last, oh man, I'm embarrassed to say it's almost 27 years, I have been, maybe 25, I've been working out with them um, on a Tuesday morning for about an hour, and we do some fun little challenges for them. Lots of push-ups and squats and running and plank poses. But it's 800 kids all at once, and it's quite a sight. In fact, a lot of the pictures you see at stewsmithfitness.com is a picture of me in front of 800 high school kids working out. What are your thoughts on the current TSAC programming for tactical athletes focusing primarily on maximal strength training? Um, I think once you're a tactical athlete, because there's a difference, right? And look, I'm a big fan of National Strength and Conditioning Association. I'm wearing the shirt right now. Been to many TSACs, spoken at many TSACs, but you have to understand there's three phases of the tactical athlete, of tactical fitness. One, you're a civilian having to pass a fitness test to get accepted into any of these programs. That's phase one, and your focus should be on that fitness test. Otherwise, if it's a competitive program, you're not going to get accepted. Won't meet the standard, you're done. Phase two is to prepare for the follow on training that needs to be specifically addressing what that follow on training is, whether it is a boot camp, a police academy, a fire academy, a basic training, a follow on training beyond that, like Ranger School, SF training, Navy SEAL, anything in the Spec Ops world will require you to prepare intensely prior to even becoming a tactical athlete or a member of the military, for instance. So your journey has to begin with phase one and phase two to become a tactical athlete. Then phase three of tactical fitness, that active duty phase of being a police officer, a firefighter, spec ops member, military member, yes, you got to still pass a fitness test every 6 months for most of those jobs. However, a foundation of strength will go a long way. Your fitness has now changed. You don't have to prepare to go through a selection, which is mostly running and rucking out of your mind, right? You can actually rebuild your body with strength training, lifting heavy, but maintaining all the other elements of fitness are just as important. You can't just strength train alone. However, a foundation of strength training goes a significantly long way to building a better tactical athlete. So you are more durable with the loads that you have to carry as an operator, and you can just do more things uh, in your job that require it, but you can't neglect the other elements of fitness, which I've kind of gone over at the beginning of this intro. From you need strength and power. Foundation of that is very important. You need speed and agility. You need uh, cardiovascular fitness and running and swimming and rucking. You need, I think I said muscle stamina, flexibility, mobility. You need grip. All of those things are a function of the tactical athlete, and that's what you're building up to be. And your training each phase has to change. Otherwise, you're not going to be properly prepared for the activity of that phase, whether you are preparing for a test, you're preparing for a selection, or you're preparing for your day to day job, which you also have to add in stress mitigation because you see things that are stressful. You're not sleeping as much. Maybe your nutrition is an MRE for a month. Those things are adding to your inability to recover well, and you have to address recovery is the most important because the mastery of recovery is your optimal fitness, but the master of recovery is also longevity, and the two go hand in hand. You will not last very long in the tactical athlete world if you're not mastering the recovery that requires you to be good at everything and addressing stress mitigation. And that's mental stress, it's emotional stress, it's physical stress, it's work stress, it's life stress. All of those things have you'll have to learn how to mitigate it. And there's a lot to that. It's a whole separate thing. I've got tons of articles on it. In fact, why don't I do this? I'm going to give you my recovery um, one stop shop. Usually I do a kind of an article, one stop shop for recovery, Stu Smith. So I got a spec ops list of articles, kind of research, one stop shop. I have a CSS article on a whole bunch of articles and videos, one stop shop, and I have a recovery one stop shop somewhere in here. I'm just going to give you this one. Longevity is the mastery of recovery. You can start there, but it's somewhere in there. Recovery, where the hell is it? Hmm. I'll find it in a minute. But anyway, that's a very long answer to a very uh it's a complicated question because I think where people screw it up is they don't realize there's three phases they need to go down in order to be a successful tactical athlete, operator, whatever you want to call it. You mentioned recently that you stretch at the end of the day every day. What does that look like? Do you warm up a bit? It's very gentle. I don't necessarily warm up a bit. Sometimes, like last night, for instance, I went for a walk about it's probably 30 minutes, and um, I have these park benches along this little path I go, and every park bench I do a stretch. Usually stretching my hips, my hamstrings, my thighs, calves. Um, stretch my upper body when I get back to the house. But that is how I usually do it. End of the day, walk, stretch. However, sometimes, if the weather's bad, I'll just stay indoors. I'll bike and do some stretching, or I just won't bike or walk at all. And I'll just lay on the floor and just do some very light stuff from foam rolling, car buffering, massage tooling stuff, and very gently stretch stuff, not to the point of where I'm trying to do the splits or anything. I'm just sitting on the floor doing some 90-degree shifts of my knees and hips, um, toe touches, thigh stretches, hamstring stretches, stuff like that. Nothing very difficult. It is not meant, I put it this way, it's not even meant for you to break a sweat. So I don't necessarily need to warm up for that sense. We have a Boston Frogmen swim this Sunday. Nice. Go get it. Did 2.5 mile swim in Lake Michigan this past week. That ought to cover you. Good deal, man. You're definitely digging those Frogman swims. Hey, Stu, curious about how you or someone you knew dealt with elbow tricep tendonitis and what measures were taken to continue working out and relieve the pain of tendonitis. Where is that strap of mine? This isn't it. But anyway, I usually have a strap that I wrap around my forearm if it's like the forearm tendonitis, or you can put it up a little higher and wrap that strap around your bicep or your tricep tendonitis. Depending on what it is actually, like if you feel it in your grip, if like if this is hurting you, like gripping onto stuff, it's probably in your forearm. So you put that strap on your below your elbow, and that helps tremendously. And it's just a compression strap, maybe about you know an inch or inch and a half long, um, and you just wrap it around that thing, and just enough compression to be able to help you do some of those exercises without um, a whole lot of pain. Something I also would recommend is playing around with your grip so you don't aggravate it or hurt it, or find a grip that it allows you to still do that exercise. So for instance, one time I pulled this area right here doing a hang cling, something just kind of popped in there. Um, it wasn't horrible, it just kind of hurt. And so whenever I would do pull-ups this way, it really hurt. But I could do pull-ups this way, no problem. Didn't hurt at all. So for about 4 months, that's all I did. I didn't do regular pull-ups for about 4 months, and I didn't do any more hang cleans because that hurt. Um, so yeah, find something that you can do, play around. These things I use right here, these are really good. You hook them around the bar, and now you got yourself a prone pull-up bar, or maybe a prone dumbbell row, or a barbell row bar. You just hook those things right there. The bar gets hooked up in there, and now instead of having to go like this, you can go like this. This helps a ton. So I actually bought these because of that elbow injury, kind of a forearm slash elbow injury. Not sure if it was golfer's elbow or tennis elbow. Google one of those two or both and see. You might be able to find some good uh, therapy type videos on YouTube that can help you. So, yeah, but definitely look up those two ailments and see which one it is. Maybe even figure out which muscle or tendon is bothering you, and search that and see if somebody has a therapy program they're sharing. But that's how I use to get through it. Thank you for thoroughly addressing my question. I'm active duty Air Force working on cross training to become a PJ. Now that's where it's different. All right. So you're in phase 3 as active duty, but your career progression is going to require you to go back to phase 1. So you need to address that PST or IFT in order to get accepted into that PJ pipeline. Then you got to address the selection itself in order to get through that. And then you have a pipeline that is multiple challenges physically, technique wise. There's a lot of swimming, a lot of treading, a lot of diving. You'll go to various schools that are more tactically challenging than they are physically challenging, but there's still a physical challenge there that you have to address. So you're going to be kind of all over the place in that spectrum of phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, because you probably still have to take the Air Force PFA. What do they call it? PFA, I think. Which I think is, they've been all over the place with their fitness test. Plank poses, shuttle runs. Think you have a choice to do things now, or did they ever finish coming up with the solution to their fitness tests? Because at one point you could do the old test, you could do a new test, you could do a shuttle run instead of a mile and a half, you could do sit-ups or crunches instead of plank poses. Yeah, so that's all right. I think change is great for fitness testing, and a variety of fitness testing is ideal. Yeah, I'm just curious on that one, Shay. If you can answer in the comments, that would be information I could use in future articles. Is it normal for you to have active duty guys on your programs? Absolutely. I have local kids that are stationed Fort Meade, Joint Base Andrews, Naval Academy. Um, those are the three bases that are closest here. But yeah, we have people that are active duty coming to join us all the time, and their goal is to go some form of spec ops. Some guys are actually getting out of the Navy and going Army to go the Army SF pipeline. So that, or I got a couple guys doing Air Force too. So I iced my elbow for an hour and worked out till the pain was too much, but didn't hurt myself. What I've noticed is that you have to build that muscle. I had golfer's elbow and it went away for in a month. Yeah, that's typical. I would say that's pretty typical. I probably wouldn't ice it then work out. Um, Mainly just because you want more pliability than frozen tissue or cold tissue. So actually warm it up and then work out. And then when you're done, compression or ice might help you with a little bit of the pain that you may be having. But compression over ice for sure will help you. Morning, Stu, do you have a particular stroke you recommend for the longer swim distance for the CRO fitness test? 1500. My suggestion, if you can do freestyle. Um, yeah, I said after. I would agree. That does help a lot. Um, Now, to my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tristan, that's 1500 without fins, or is it with fins? There's so many different fitness tests out there, and I'm not sure what that one is. I just wrote about it. I just don't remember it off the top of my head. So if it's with fins, I would say CSS or lead arm trail arm. If it's without fins, I would say freestyle. And if you needed to, okay, yeah. So if it's without fins, I would go all freestyle. Just get in shape to crush it with freestyle. There's no reason why you can't do, you know, 3 8-minute 500s and hit that thing in 24 minutes with freestyle. That's even non-swimming athletes can do that, and that's a good time for you. You're going to see guys much faster than that, that have a competitive swimming background. And the good thing about freestyle, and the reason why I say that, if it's an option, is that it's so easy to learn because everybody knows how to do freestyle. Not many people know how to do the CSS. That's why I do so much CSS coaching, whether it's online or locally, because nobody knows how to do it. They know how to do the side stroke, but it's different. All right, let's see. Hey, Stu, I'm on week 3 of intermediate portion of cows and cardio. If time constraints are an issue, can the PT reset be later? Absolutely. I you can leave it out, but I would just do it later. That is something I tend to do. Remember how I was talking about stretching every day? That's a great one to do at the end of the day because it's not that hard. It's some planking, it's a little bit of, reverse push-ups, arm haulers, stuff like that, which I find to be very useful. Um, Either the day of or the day after a pretty challenging upper body day where you spend a lot of time doing pushes, because that's going to balance all that out. It's going to stretch your chest. It's going to flex your upper back, so you're actually building some of those posture muscles. Because a lot of people, when you do lots of reps of pushing, whether it's bench press, dips, push ups, overhead press, tends to forwardly rotate you a little bit, internal rotation of your shoulders. But this is going to help balance it out and pull it back, and probably keep your shoulders from getting injured as well. Trisha says, okay, perfect. I got to get used to facing the water freestyle. Growing up, I've always done it Tarzan. So yeah, you don't want to do that. That's that is completely inefficient and is, as soon as an instructor sees that, they're going to be on you like blood in the water, like sharks, because they know you are uncomfortable in the water. Now they're going to have you tread water, they're going to splash water in your face, and it's, yeah, you don't want to demonstrate to anybody that you're not comfortable in the water. And that is probably the number one way to do it. So take some lessons is what I would recommend. I'm taking off a week or so off running to heal some plantar fasciitis. Would it be good or bad idea to do easy ruck once or twice a week? I would not. To be honest with you, my advice is just go all non-impact with that plantar fasciitis. But even more importantly, after you do something, whether it's walking, you can walk. Um, Make sure you have good shoes, maybe even some kind of insert in there that's going to help you um, not keep that bottom part of your foot so tight. Um, and if you can, sleep with the boot on. I've had plantar fasciitis before, and probably the best way I got rid of it was sleeping with a boot. So my foot was like, if this is my leg and my foot was almost 90 degrees while I was sleeping versus letting it relax. And now I got almost 0 degree bend in it. And then whenever I wake up, it's called drop foot. If you've never heard of it, a lot of people, if they're in the hospital for a very long time, they haven't walked, and they can't walk on their heels because all that area in there gets really tight. So if you can keep your feet in that 90-degree angle while you're sleeping, you won't have the typical problems you do first thing in the morning, which is, it sucks. I mean, you can't even walk on your heels for probably 5 or 10 minutes. You're just walking around on your tiptoes, and then eventually it loosens up as you get going. You could even go for a run, and then it goes away while you're running. But next thing you know, if you're sit in a chair for a while or lay down for a while, it gets tight again, and next thing you know, it's you can't walk on your heels anymore. It just hurts. So something I recommend is get a ball and foot massage. You might want to probably start off with a tennis ball and then go to like a lacrosse ball or something a little harder, and find that little spot. There's going to be a spot probably in the meat of your foot, right there in the arch area, that's pretty tight, but you're probably going to feel a lot of it right in the heel. So if you can really push hard on that little spot on that ball and dig in there, right? Dig in that spot, massage it a little bit. Next thing you know, it goes away. But I remember doing that a few times to the point where it was very strange. It was one of those pains that felt good, and there's like tear going down my face while I was doing it, but it felt oddly good. So I felt like it was almost helping me. It just hurt like hell. And then next thing I know, my plantar fasciitis was gone. But it was a combination of multiple things. I would freeze a can in the freezer and then massage a cold can on the bottom of my foot. Um, I would get a ball and warm it up with a tennis ball. Then I'd find that little spot with a harder lacrosse ball, get in there good, and then, sleep with that boot. And that was between those three, I never had to use any medication to help heal it. It went away. Let's see. Sir, if you're already in the Navy and your specialization is low on men and your group is not full and they don't let you go, to buds, can you resign and go for buds? No, you owe the Navy 4 years regardless, and you want to finish that contract. You can keep trying every quarter, every 6 months, trying to get to buds, see what happens. Persistence usually wins in this journey. And then there's going to be a time when you're about 6 months out from your 4 year enlistment. And that is when you say, look, I'm getting out if you don't send me to buds, and then get out. And now um, you can get out and go to another spec ops program. You may not be able to go to buds. Your year group, if your year group is full, you're not going to buds. If your year group in a certain job that you have is not full and they need people, chances are they're not going to let you go to buds. Just the way it is. My advice is don't join the Navy and do something else and try to go to buds. That's not the way to do it. Some people can get there, it happens, but it's kind of like the teenage journey. Don't go to buds as a teenager. I give that advice all the time too, is because most teenagers don't make it. Most people in the Navy never get an opportunity to go to buds for various reasons. One, their own fitness level is not allowing them to be competitive. Two, their year group is full for buds. Buds doesn't need anybody from your year group. And three, that rate or job that you have is uh, not full. It needs people, so it's not going to let you go. So a lot of things have to work in your favor in order to get to buds. What the easy route, believe it or not, is to go straight from being a civilian to boot camp, pass all your tests that you need to pass, and be a competitive candidate, and you get to go straight to buds. Then the bigger thing is don't quit, because your chances of going back to buds are going to be very slim. So don't do it. For the PT test, for upper body strength, you have the option between regular push-ups for your HRPU, hand release push-ups. For core endurance, regular sit-ups, cross-leg. Oh, that's right, cross-legged reverse crunch. That's a good one. Or plank. Okay. So they're still giving you options. I kind of like that, to be honest with you. Pick something. Get good at it. Crush it. I used to skimp on the reverse push-ups. Guess what's the first thing they did for PT for the injured rotator cuff? I tell you what, man, all those exercises that are just easy and a little bit weird, from the lightweight shoulder workout with 5-pound dumbbells to the PT reset, are all learned from physical therapists. I learned all those from physical therapists, and I apply them to my regular upper body days for a reason. Because you guys can see this shoulder here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that is a floating clavicle, separated shoulder that I've been dealing with for 25 years. And I never got surgery on it, just because the doctor said, yeah, it's just going to look better. Works fine the way it is. Didn't feel like I needed to get aesthetic surgery done. But to keep it strong, I need to do all those little exercises like the PT reset and the lightweight shoulders. Those are very effective. Do you have any tips for drown proofing exercises? Knot tying, bobbing, being tied? Do instructors just want you to see you not panic? Yes, that is the big thing. Don't panic. And just be able to move through it. I have an article done here. In fact, I link this into all of my mobility days, which you may have seen. At the end of a mobility day, we do this drown proofing workout, and I know you've seen it, Mikhail. But if you follow any of these, this link here, I put it in the comment section here. Stu Smith Fitness, workouts and techniques that help you with drown proofing safely. It's a really good drill that gets you not only tired because it adds a hard 100-meter swim in it, but you have to catch your breath with all of those activities from bobbing and floating and front flips and back flips and doing all those things with a simulated hands behind your back and your feet together. I don't tie anybody up and I don't practice being tied up at all just because it is potentially dangerous and you would never want to do that by yourself or without proper medical support on the pool deck. Not that it's that dangerous, but if you're new to it and you don't know how to do it, it's very dangerous. Shay continues, for the cardiovascular component, you have the option of a 20-meter shuttle run or the 1.5 mile run. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was still in that phase of choosing, but that's been a couple of years now. And usually after a couple of years, it tends to stay that way. So it'd be very interesting to see what the changes are in the next couple of years, if they pick one over the other or they just go back to the old. What to do for knee pain? That's a general question that I'm just going to say, if it hurts to run, stop running. If it hurts to walk, don't run. And if it hurts doing nothing, go to a doctor, because there can be probably 15 different things that you're causing your knee pain. And that is one of those questions that I don't have time to go down this rabbit hole. But those are my three. That's my rule for knee pain. What equipment do you recommend to get better at freestyle swimming, if any? I guess the first thing is more technique than equipment. You don't need any equipment. Just start swimming. Need some goggles. Work on your streamlined body position. That is key. Work on your arm pull, your freestyle catch, and little flutter kicks. And that is going to make you fast. I would say what's going to make you faster out of all of them is a proper freestyle catch. Now, you can go to YouTube and type in freestyle catch and see people much better at swimming than I am.
Worked on the specific
Movement and
techniques
motion.
to
Now,
reduce your
look at
drag.
this. So,
It's
when see how his arm is near vertical, or it is vertical. He not only was vertical right here below his head, he was also vertical above his head. Can you guys see this? Okay, good.
time to tackle propulsion.
So when he grabs water,
This
he grabs
starts with the
water
catch,
way out there
also known
and
as a
starts
high
like he's
elbow.
reaching over a barrel trying to get that forearm
The
from
catch
the elbow
starts
down
after the hand entry.
vertical. There you go. Look at that. He is that right there will make you faster during freestyle. But you know what it's also applicable to? You doing your top arm pull with the CSS. If you're having problems with your pull, it's probably because you're not doing the freestyle catch and you're doing more of like the almost like water wheel motion of just grabbing water and pivoting from your shoulder. But all the muscles he's using in this pull start from the lats, and he's pulling a little bit with the bicep. He's getting his shoulder and tricep into it, and he's going to push behind him. Watch how it pushes. Like, see, he is still pushing water back there.
It makes sure your hand and forearm are in the right position to pull through.
What I mean by that is his force vectors are pushing water behind him, so he goes forward. If you're going in a big circle with your shoulder, your force vectors are all over the place. And probably 25% of it is actually moving you forward. The others are actually lifting you up and pulling you down. So that was a really good share, I think. That's the freestyle catch. Learn the freestyle catch. And even for you that having a hard time with water in your face, that freestyle catch is something you're definitely going to have to learn. That's going to help you tremendously. What I focus on: lifting weights and cardio, cows and cardio. Need to get better. ACFT score, push ups, plank, run is where I need to improve. Weight 260, 5'11. My weight needs to drop. Yeah, you're all over the place there. Um, I would start off personally with cows and cardio and get that weight off. Now you can mix in some weightlifting days in there as well to help working on your strength, but primarily you just need to burn some calories and lose some weight. And also, the other side of that equation is not only your calories that you're burning, but the calories that you're bringing in, because those have to either balance at the end of the day if you want to maintain weight, or there has to be a deficit in some way where you have worked harder than you have eaten, right? Now, if you're eating more than you've worked, you're going to gain weight. You got to flip that switch and go the other direction. So you got some journeys to do. Let me see what I have in here. My suggestion for you would probably be the calisthenics and cardio program to start off with, and then go into this Army PFT workout. By the way, it's updated for the CFT. It's just an old title. Um, this is all PFT, CFT focus, and rucking prep. That's another way to lose some weight. Put a backpack on and start rucking. But I will say this: for 5'11 at 260, you already have a 50-pound ruck on. You should be down below 200, so probably close to a 60-pound ruck on. So you just walking alone is going to be like you're moving 60 to 70 pounds of extra weight. So for right now, I wouldn't even put on a ruck, because you are rucking everywhere you go. And the more you walk, the more weight you're going to lose. And you're going to get better at rucking, because one day you're going to be 200 pounds putting on a 50-pound ruck, which is basically 250 pounds of walking, which you're getting used to right now. So my advice is literally walk your ass off and start doing some calisthenics. There you go. Good question. In basic training, halfway through, we had a one-on-one meeting with the lieutenant about our goals and expectations with the Army. My buddy and I both told him of our goals going spec ops. The following week, he completely changed behavior towards my buddy and I. Is that normal in the military? I do not believe we gave him any reason to be an ass at all. We both performed well. No, I mean, that's pretty common. He knows that your journey's going to be hard, so he's going to make things a little harder for you. Nothing wrong with that. Maybe he also doesn't thoroughly understand what you're trying to get into. Or maybe in his beginning of his military journey, he tried and didn't make it. So now he has a hard on against that. I don't know. But just know that you just have to go with the flow. Don't let it get to you. Don't take it personally. Just move on. And then perhaps in future discussions with people, maybe not mention everything that you're trying to do. Maybe you just want to be the best military guy in the battalion. Learn a skill, right? That guy probably doesn't need to be involved in all of your future training anyway. So just suck it up for the short term. Eventually, you're going to be going through a selection. Well, I guarantee you that guy's not going to be there if he's regular military. What does Hell Week look like? What is the day-by-day strain that has to be done? You know what? There's a lot to that question, and you can go on any YouTube channel, type in Hell Week, and you'll probably see a video show about people going through Hell Week. A lot better with some actual footage of people going through Hell Week, and you can see it and feel it, versus me just saying it's hard. You're going to be up for 5 days. It's 120-hour constantly moving, except for every 5 hours or 6 hours, you get to eat a meal and chill out for a minute. and you really don't sleep unless you win stuff. So I remember we won a race and we were about 2 hours in front of everybody, and we got to sleep for 2 hours. That was pretty nice. So anyway, it's a long week and it's a nonstop evolution for 120 straight hours. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you're moving the entire time, but you're mostly awake the entire time. And it's hard. But you get plenty of food, so that's helpful. And you're cold and you're wet the whole week and pretty uncomfortable the whole week. So it gets a lot of people in that region. Have you had any guys make it through MARSOC selection? Yes. What are your thoughts on that? Pipeline similar to Buds or similar to SFAS, or is it its own beast? Good question. It's a little mix of both. You know, it doesn't have as high of attrition rate because the operators that go into that are already Marines and they're pretty tough going in. So you can't look at it the same. Like it's probably the same toughness as it is at Buds. It's just we have so many people that are so underprepared and just out of boot camp that our attrition rates are way too high for that type of training. Whereas a Marine who's already been in for 4 or 5 years is probably going to be better equipped and better prepared to go through that selection. So their attrition's a little lower, but it's still harder, and you're judged on your tactical ability as well. Whereas at Buds in your selection, you just have to get through the first 4 weeks in Hell Week, and then your tactical training starts. Whereas in this selection, your ability to land navigate, to do shooting and moving and things like that are all kind of part of that selection that can make or break you getting selected. So you might be able to pass it physically, but you may not get selected because of your inability to be a leader or your inability to be part of a team. There are some very uh, objective and subjective grading criteria to those selections. SFAS and MARSOC specifically. Whereas the Navy and Air Force, they have a different training pipeline, mainly because there's nothing in the Navy or Air Force that prepares them tactically or physically for that job. Whereas the Marines and the Army SF, they have a logical training pipeline to go from infantry, recon, rangers, airborne, whatever. You can just work your way up in those 4 years and get really prepared, stair stepping your way through. Whereas, Buds and Air Force pipeline is a little bit different because they're new people right out of basic training. I'm running through your phase 4 and wondering what's a good number to fail on pull up 8 count. Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite workouts. In fact, we do doing that on Tuesday. Yeah, this one right here. You can do burpees or 8 count bodybuilders. I put 8 count bodybuilders in there because they are still a thing. You need to learn how to do them. But we have gone all the way up to 20 and stopped. It's not a pyramid, by the way. It's kind of a ladder. You can just see how high you can go. My advice is work your way to 10 and back down. That way you get 100 pull-ups, whatever, 100 to 200 8 count bodybuilders. And then see if you can get to 15. That's a doable number right there. If you can go 1 to 10, you can probably get to 1 to 15. Then 1 to 20 is next level because that's going to put you at 200 pull-ups. That's double. 210 pull-ups is double of what you did earlier. And then we've had a few guys, and this is only a few when I'm talking about they're already, spec ops operators now over the years. We had a few guys get up to 25 before they failed, which was pretty impressive. So you got a wide range, but a good number since you asked that question, I would say 15 is a good number. 20 is a great number. 25 is out of this world number. It's kind of like the other day we did a body weight bench press, and I was thinking, this was a pretty good group. I've been training them for a while. Let's see what their body weight bench press maxes are. And I was thinking 20 would probably be a pretty average number for everybody. Um, like for instance, I got 15 that day. I weighed 205, got 15 reps. I was pretty happy with. A couple other guys were in that 15 to 20 range at 200, 205 pounds. Then we had a couple of dudes that were like 175, 180 that cranked out 40 reps of their body weight, which that blew my mind that somebody could actually do that. So I was uh, I was thinking 20, 25 might be the high on that body weight bench press movement, but we had guys in the 30s and 40s, which I was just shocked. They were a little lighter, but not that much lighter. And still, body weight is body weight. Pound for pound, that dude was strong and had some muscle stamina. So thought I'd just share that with you because that was a fun test we did, and I was not only pleasantly surprised that everybody got double digits, but I was super impressed that everybody was, or not everybody, about 5 to 6 guys were above 30. Did you not have any issues with needing to puke or stomach cramps during Hell Week when eating as much as you did? You know what? The one issue I had digestively, but first of all, the answer is no. Wasn't that big a deal. You kind of learn how to eat and be able to run and go do stuff during the first 4 weeks. I would recommend practicing, getting a full belly and going for a ruck or for a run, even or swim, just to learn how to do that. But it does keep you warm, so you got to think of every bit of food that you eat is going to be fuel for your body to stay warm. So that completely puts your mind at ease of like, hey, I got a full belly, but at least I got a full belly, and this is going to go straight into a furnace that is going to produce body heat to keep me warm. So you want to keep it down. Now, I will say this one day, I think it was day 3, they gave us MREs. We're sitting in the surf zone, shaking and eating our MREs, and it just sucked because it was like 6:30 in the morning. We're wet, eating breakfast in the surf zone, eating an MRE at that, and I think I got some kind of burrito, or maybe I can't remember what it was now, but it had something with some red sauce in it, and I never saw it again. Like it never came up, but I had heartburn for the next 24 hours, and that really sucked. I was constantly going to the medic and just saying, "Hey, I need some Tums," because that MRE just put me in the hurt locker. So luckily, they're able to give you Tums, and that was helpful. But if you don't ask, they're not going to help you. So I went, doing one of the med checks and said, I got some horrible heartburn right now. Oh, don't worry about that. Here's some Tums, antacids. That was very helpful. So sometimes it's just your communication is going to help you get through some of those things. So just make your communicating is proper and not whining. When someone asks you, "Hey, how are you feeling?" Tell them. I heard a thing about guys hiding snacks in the sand and the beach. Yes. Yeah, you do whatever you can. Like when you go to use the bathroom, there are guys that will sometimes follow you in there and just put out a whole bag of, like, it's like trick or treat, like a whole bunch of candy bars and Cliff bars or whatever, and just give you some more calories. So the guys that have already gone through Hell Week, or guys that are behind you haven't gone through Hell Week yet, they are helping you out in some way. Sometimes they'll even swim food out to you whenever you're doing the round the world paddle, which is like a 12-hour paddle. Uh, they'll do a mission and bring out food to you. I remember we had a group of guys come up to us. We didn't even see them until they were right on us, and they threw a bag full of candy bars into the boat. So Yeah, it's always fun, and they had a fun mission getting away from the instructors and see if they could sneak in. It's pretty fun. Everybody's a team going through it. How deep should the pool be for effective bounce training? I would say 9 feet. I mean, that's probably where you're going to be tested. I've heard some tests out there will take you into 12 or 15 feet bounce every now and then. But I think the official test, at least for buds, I know the official test for buds is 9 feet section. Put them in the hurt locker. Yeah, it's an old saying. Oh, wow, man. Where'd that hour go? You guys have me talking today. Great questions, by the way. Some of those are really good. I really do appreciate it. Some of those are just too broad that I just couldn't answer. So apologize for that. If you can be a little more specific with your knee pain or your Hell Week question, maybe I could be a little more specific with my answer. But I do appreciate your time watching. If I missed your question, uh, just go ahead and send it to me, stu@stewsmith.com. Happy to answer it. And if you go to stewsmithfitness.com, you will see a whole bunch of good articles in there that I tend to link into the comment section. But if you use live 15, that just is a signal for me that you were listening today and you bought something over at the store, save 15% on some of your purchases. So I will be back tomorrow at 9. And remember, next week we'll start at 9:30. And tomorrow we'll do some combat swimmer stroke critiques. If you want to send me in some videos, happy to share those or just critique them. If you don't want them shared, that's fine. I also post a lot of these on TikTok as well. Going to try to put more of them on my YouTube shorts. So I'm building up that page also. So, all right, folks, until next time, I will check you guys later. Um, and I'll be here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. We'll talk a little bit of CSS and go through some critiques and also whatever other questions you may have. So until then, we'll see you later.